My goal was to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I didn't have time for that lane. One of my English teachers, a little boy named Mr. Fisk, had a very good quote. Rest at the end, not in the middle. I've never let my beliefs stop me from pushing forward. I don't have all the answers or even all the questions yet, but I'm just going to keep going and I'll figure them out as I go. I made that deal with myself when I was 13 years old. I was very clear about it. Inspiration came from the love of the game and the challenge. I would match Magic and Michael play and see them do amazing things. And I'd think, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out. I think I played basketball when I was 10 or 11 years old. And I didn't score a single point the whole summer. Not a free throw, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, nothing. I remember crying and being upset about it. And my father just hugged me and told me, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm going to love you no matter what. That is the most important thing you can say to a child. From there, I just went to work and stayed with him. I kept practicing, and when the project came up, I realized that I needed to take a long-term view because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week or a year. So I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought. What do I want to work on first? Shooting. Let's knock this out, let's focus on this. Then 14 came around in the back half of 13 and 14 years old. And then I was just killing everyone. And it happened in 2 years. I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years, but it did because what I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals well. They relied on athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stuck to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And then my body, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame and then it was game time. Wow, were you always competitive from the day you were born? You were super competitive with things that I participated in. So I'll put it to you this way. Basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, books, or people I talked to, was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. So when you have that point of view, the world becomes your library to help you become better at your craft. So at 13 years old, I had a kill list. And as you know, they used to do these rankings. It was the Street and Smith basketball rankings. And I was nowhere to be found because I was like 6'4", scrawny, like 160 pounds, soaking wet. So I was like 57 on the list. So I will look at 56, 55, all the way up to the number 1 and see who these players are and what club teams they played for. When we go on the AAU travel circuit, I have to hunt them down. And so that became my mission in high school, to check off every other person. All those 56 other names, hunt them down and knock them down. So we played at 13. And I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everyone else? Or is there thought and skill that you put into it? And when I play to my weaknesses. I always worked on the things during those games that I was weak at, like left-handed pull-up jump shots post-game. So I had a strategy. How hard did you work and how long did you stay disciplined? I worked hard every day for 20 years, trying to understand my strengths and weaknesses. For example, my vertical jump was 40, not 46 or 45, and my hands are big but not huge. So I had to find ways to strengthen them so I could palm a ball and do the thing. I was fast but not very fast, so I had to rely more on my skill, angles, and studying the game. But I liked it, and I studied the game from the time I was young. I don't remember how old I was when I first watched the game, and it never stopped. What is the experience of losing in your life? It's exciting. Why is it exciting? This is advantageous because it provides more chances of success. How did you become so mentally and emotionally strong that it doesn't bother you? Well, you have to look at the reality of the situation. For me, it's not that big of a deal. You just have to get over yourself and then it's okay. Why those air balls happen? Because I didn't have the leg. if you look at the shot, every shot was straight, but every shot was short. I need to get stronger. I need to train. The weight training program I'm doing has to be made for an 82-game season so that when the playoffs come, my legs are stronger and the ball goes in. I look at it logically and say, okay, the reason I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I've got all next year to get them there. You have to do the hard stuff and watch and study the game to not make the same mistakes over and over again, because you aren't brave enough. You want things to be as perfect as they can be, even though you know that nothing is perfect. The challenge is to get them as close to perfect as you can. You have this mindset. But how did you develop it? When did it start? When I was in middle school and high school, a lot of the kids I played against were from the inner city. They thought they could be rough with me, try to scare me and do all sorts of other things that they couldn't do. But now I'm telling them, okay, you're trying to attack me. How am I going to attack you? How can I mentally figure out ways to break you down? How can I show you that I have the upper hand? That's where it all started for me, figuring out how to get the upper hand on an opponent. One of the things I did to mentally break people down was to go back to work while everyone else was in the cafeteria, eating and doing other things. Why didn't you do that well? Because when I retired, I didn't want to have to say, I wish I had done more. I played games with the flu. I played games with 102-degree fever. We had a game against Toronto in 2000, and Vince was steering the league up, but my back was hurting. So I would be in the layup line and say, okay, there are a lot of days when you can rest and recover, but today isn't. You guys are close to getting into the playoffs. You know exactly what happens in the game. Patrick, I don't believe you understand. He says when I tore my Achilles in high school, 4 friends of mine dragged me to my husband. I was crying from there straight to the hospital. He says, I have no clue how the hell this guy did it. You went and hit the free throws and then you walked off the stage. How in the hell do you endure such agony? You know you have a hamstring injury. You pulled your hamstring badly. You can barely walk, let alone play anything. You're at home when all of a sudden, a fire breaks out. Your kids are upstairs. Your wife is wherever she may be. You know, going down, I'm willing to bet that you're going to forget about your hamstring. You're going to sprint upstairs. You're going to grab your kids. You'll make sure your wife's good. You're leaving that house because the lives of your family are more important than your hamstring injury. When the game is more important than the injury, you don't feel the injury. When I went into the trainer's room, my kids were there and they were looking at me and stuff. And I looked at them and said, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. As a parent, you have to set an example. This problem can't make me who I am. It's not going to happen to me and it's not going to be my fault. I'm living the game I love because I want to. I'm living on my terms and that's when it was decided. You know what I'm doing. You have to lead by example as parents. If you want your kids to do whatever they want to do in life, you have to show them that the meaning of greatness is to inspire the people around you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. Instead, it's about how you can inspire one person to inspire another person, who then inspires another person, and so on. That's how you make something that lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, to figure out how our stories can move other people and inspire them to do great things themselves. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey today. I hope you enjoyed the content as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any future videos. If you found value in what you watched, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Your support means the world to me, and it helps the channel grow. I love reading your comments, so feel free to leave any feedback or suggestions for future videos below. Let's keep the conversation going. Remember, life is an adventure, and on this channel, we're exploring it together. So until next time, keep chasing your dreams and embracing the unknown, and spreading positivity. Stay curious, stay passionate, and always keep learning. Thank you again for being a part of this amazing community. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll